No one saw it coming. Not one. Even the army, which is known to have the most sensitive radar to any BTS movements, was completely rendered helpless when everything happened in just seconds. As if the system had been forcibly shut down, one of the BTS members suddenly logged out of everything, and it all started with one sharp, cold, and unexpected sentence that came out of Jungkook's mouth. The stage was supposed to be a celebration. The bright lights, cheers, and fiery fervor of the thousands of fans at Tokyo Dome Stadium that night did not foreshadow anything. No discordant sounds, no awkward pauses. Until the last second when all the members stood in formation, smiling, waving their hands. Jungkook glanced to the side. His eyes met the eyes of one of his hyung. And what happened after that made BTS history have the darkest chapter that no one ever imagined. One emotional outburst. A sudden decision. One silence that shook fandom around the world. ARMY did not take long to realize that something was very wrong. One BTS member, whose identity is still an official mystery, disappeared from all platforms. In less than 12 hours, his Weverse account was inaccessible, there were no new uploads, and all digital activity seemed to be forcibly terminated. No farewell notification. No clarification from HYB. No explanation from other members. All that was left was a short video snippet from that night's live performance, when Jungkook, in a low but sharp voice, said, "You can stop pretending now." The sentence is piercing. And not long after, the expression of one of the members changed drastically. The face that had originally kept that little smile suddenly went blank, like a screen that went out. He didn't look back. It does not salute. He just stared at Jungkook, and then shut up. And the next morning, he had already disappeared from the virtual world. All theories began to emerge. Is this part of an internal drama that has been hidden for a long time? Does Jungkook know something that shouldn't be said in public? Or more horrifically, is this the culmination of a conflict within BTS that has always been just a conspiracy whisper? We need to look far back to understand why this moment has become the most stressful crisis in BTS history. Over the years, BTS has been known as a group with unrivaled chemistry. However, old observers always remind that behind harmony, there is always pressure. There are differences in vision, there are egos, there are wounds that are not always healed by the love of fandom alone. And somehow, that night, all those wounds opened at once. And Jungkook, the golden magne known to be the most peaceful, the quietest, is the one who opens his veil. Industry analysts began to dig deeper. Why did that sentence come out of Jungkook? Who is "stop pretending"? And more horrifically, were those words part of the truth that had been locked away for too long by the system of a huge agency called HYB? There are clues that have been overlooked so far. A former stage crew who worked with BTS in 2022 leaked that Jungkook had undergone silent counseling sessions for 3 consecutive months because he felt there was a discrepancy between what he saw and what he had to perform on stage. In a note leaked to Japanese media, Jungkook wrote, "We smile, but not all of us are happy. And I'm tired of covering up one big lie that eats away at everything." Big lie? Who's lying? And why does Jungkook feel compelled to cover up? ARMY quickly attributed this to the dynamic of the members starting to rarely perform together. Some of the once intense collaborations are starting to stretch. Jungkook began to be seen more often alone. He built a private studio. He bought a property in a very remote place. He even turned down several big advertising contracts on the grounds that he didn't want to be part of something fake. And when all the attention was focused on the absence of one member who had logged out, the spotlight turned to Jungkook. Jungkook, a whistleblower from within BTS itself. One of the very viral video pieces shows a backstage moment when the camera does not realize it is on. Jungkook was seen speaking in a low voice, saying, "If he continues to lie tonight, I will speak on stage. I don't care anymore." And that night, that's what he did. The words "stop pretending" turned out to be not just an emotional outburst, but a declaration of truth. And for one member, the truth was too painful to choose to log out of everything. Speculation continues to grow. The names of BTS members are milling around in online forums. There are those who accuse the conflict between the two big members who so far look the most familiar as just an illusion. There were mentions that there were disagreements over the future direction of the group, whether to stay together or disperse respectfully. There were also mentions that one of the members was involved in a secret project that was contrary to the values upheld by the group. But until now, there has been no official statement. What shook the most was a 17-minute voice recording that allegedly came from their internal discussion room, which was leaked to the dark web. In the footage, Jungkook's voice is heard saying angrily, "You think you can keep using the BTS name while you play with fire behind all of us? It's not just about you. It's about us. And I don't want to be quiet anymore." If the tape is genuine, then this conflict is much deeper than just a difference of opinion. It's about trust. And maybe about treason. Army divided. Some defended Jungkook as a moral hero who eventually spoke up for the group's safety. There are also those who regret the way it is revealed, because it has triggered collective trauma and disrupted the harmony of fandom. But one thing is indisputable: the moment became a turning point. Everything has changed since that night. Hybe is still silent. The logged-out member has not returned. Jungkook remained active, but never mentioned a single word about the incident. But in one of his most recent live broadcasts, he said quietly, almost inaudibly, "Sometimes you have to let something burn to save another." What's burning? And what does Jungkook want to save? Clues keep popping up. In one of the documentary footage HYBE released a few weeks before the incident, Jungkook is seen staring blankly at a laptop screen during a group meeting. Near his laptop, there was a small note that read, "If I don't talk now, then everything will be ruined later." The note became a symbol of resistance. Symbol that perhaps Jungkook's been holding it all back too long. And finally, he exploded in the most unexpected place, in the presence of millions of spectators. The question that haunts now is, will BTS still be intact after this? And more importantly, is the public really ready to face the dark side of the group that they have always considered perfect? When the history of BTS is rewritten in the future, the evening will be remembered not as an ordinary concert, but as the night when all the masks fall off. And when one small voice of a magne shakes the entire foundation built over a decade. What will happen next? Only time can tell. But one thing is certain, Jungkook has opened Pandora's box. And we are all in the storm he created. They thought Jungkook would shut up. They thought he would be silenced like never before, as always whenever there was a small spark that had to be swept down the red carpet of their careers. But that night, he chose to no longer be the sweet magne. That night, Jungkook decided to be the voice that split the night sky, slapped the faces that had been hiding behind the image and brand, and destroyed the illusion of family that had been presented to the world. And the world watched, without being able to look away. When morning came, there was no sun for the army. All there is terrible news. Social media accounts are missing. Activity is frozen. A member is completely logged out, not just from the virtual world, but from the reality of BTS itself. As if it just disappeared, like a file deleted without confirmation. And HYB? Shut up. They chose silence. They sealed the door. They locked up all the truth in a locked box that began to crackle from the inside due to pressure. But Jungkook's voice was too loud to ignore. And for those in the know, this is not just an emotional reaction. This is a subtle revenge that has been composed over the years.